Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, JJ Redick shuffles the starting lineup, and it pays dividends. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your very first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on weekends. As you can tell right now, Locked On Lakers is never going to be behind a paywall, and it's always going to be free for you. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where 26,000 subscribers, Andy, are rejoicing in a victory Friday night. A pretty nice win, pretty smooth win for the Lakers, 116-103 over a very banged up Philadelphia 76ers squad.
116-106.
116-106. Thank you. Over a beat up Philadelphia 76ers squad. And there's a lot of individual stuff that we should note from the game. LeBron James, a triple-double. He was outstanding. Anthony Davis, 31-9 with 4 blocks. Austin Reeves, 6 of 10 from three-point range. The thing, Andy, that is the dominant story from this game, obviously, though, is JJ Redick's decision to pull D'Angelo Russell from the starting lineup, replaced him with Cam Reddish, and one game in, you could tell it had the impact more or less that they were looking for, both in the starting lineup defensively and also by adding a little pop to the bench.
It's interesting. You and I had talked about this as a possibility for the first show on Friday.
Yeah.
We both thought that it wasn't going to happen this quickly, but we did think that it was a distinct possibility because, as Redick noted, I mean, beyond the defensive balance that he was looking for by bringing Reddish into that starting lineup, the bench has just been non-existent, and they have needed to do something about this. And the obvious move was going to be splitting up the D'Lo Reeves backcourt anyway, because there are issues with that even on its best day for the Lakers, just because defensively,
and that's been something. What can you do about that?
Right.
It's been a talking point for a while.
We both agreed the guy that was going to be moving to the bench was going to be D'Lo. Like there was an air of inevitability to it. So that being the case, there's an argument to be made for doing what Redick did, which is just rip the cord, pull off the Band-Aid, move forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is technically not true that the 18 points that D'Lo scored off the bench on Friday equals the total output from the bench for the season. It's not true because it's higher.
Right. It's actually higher.
Right, it just feels that way. And so,
I mean, it's honestly, all jokes aside, those 18 points are not that much lower than Christie and Vincent have scored combined this year. Like, they've scored more than that combined, but not nearly as many more as you would think that they have. Like, yeah. I bet they have not scored as a group triple that together. I'm going to look it up right now, but I doubt they have.
While you do the math. Okay.
I doubt they've scored 72, but I'm going to look it up right now.
So there was a litany of things that Redick was looking for. Obviously, we just noted D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench, adding some juice to the bench, some scoring, had the ball in his hands significantly more, could run more screen and roll, basically doing things with the second unit that play a little bit more into his strengths as a point guard, because Redick's system doesn't have quite the same amount of high ball screens and all that kind of stuff. So, in part, trying to find ways to make D'Lo more comfortable. Doesn't mean Russell wanted to move to the bench, but that's a separate question. Then, meanwhile,
I just did the math real quick. I called this pretty damn close. Counting tonight's totals, Gabe Vincent and Max Christie have scored exactly 3 times that 18 that D'Lo put up tonight. They have scored 72 combined points, counting tonight. So 3 times what D'Lo did.
That's not good.
Actually, that's okay. I just revealed my awful math skills. That would be 52. It's still, though.
I can't be expected to talk and correct you at the same time.
Okay, first of all, 18 times 3 is 54. Second of all, it's 4 times more. That actually is 72.
Okay.
Either way
Still
too
bad.
2 guards over 9 games combined.
Still bad.
That's way too low.
Yeah.
I'm right, even if I can't count.
I can vamp or I can do math. I can't vamp and do math. But
sure.
And then meanwhile,
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming me.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of people watching this going, is Brian going to ever pick up on the fact that 18 times 3 is not 72? And the answer is no, he's not, because he's busy talking.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of this is they got up to a good start.
I just realized.
Did you do the math wrong again?
Yes. Oh, okay. I go back. Okay,
4.
No,
is 72.
I know that. I go back though on. They actually have scored 62, not 52. I carry a non-existent 1. So they've scored 62 combined points, which takes me full circle back to my original statement.
Not good.
It's not 3 times the amount that D'Lo's tonight. By the way, this really crappy job I've done with math tonight really underscores what Redick has been battling to this point and why he made this change.
Andy's more of an eye test guy than a numbers guy.
Jeez.
Anyway, but like the other half of this, the other half of this. Well, you don't have the problem is you don't have 62 fingers, so you can't do the math properly.
Oh my God.
Is the defense
heading into this game? Christie had scored 33 combined points.
Okay, move on. we need to move on.
Well, I just want the audience to check my math at this point.
Okay,
and they each scored 2 points tonight, so that is 62.
Okay, here we go. Reddish took 1 shot. It was a 3-pointer. He made it, but Redick really praised the work that he did on Paul George, who really, was obviously coming back from injury, but is their most explosive player and didn't really have a significant impact in this game. 4 of 13, 0 of 6 from 3-point range, only had 9 points. And, I think it's important that the Lakers, while there was just a couple stretches where Philadelphia would kind of pull back into the game or whatever, but the Lakers controlled this one throughout. And they got off to good starts in the first quarter and the third quarter, which is, a nice measurement. And that's, a good indication of maybe of where both the versatility, but also the energy and the athleticism that Reddish provides relative to other options has an impact. And, the Lakers are a little bit fortunate right now in the sense that they can work on this kind of tweaked lineup because there were some really interesting combinations out there, and this change led to some, the lineups that in the first half and things like that were definitely different. The Lakers actually do have an opportunity here because Philadelphia comes into town as a very banged up team. The Lakers get Toronto on Sunday, so another team that is not expected to be particularly good in the conference. And from there you get,
although let's not take Toronto lightly.
No, but I'm saying at home they did manage to beat them.
No, I'm just saying we just saw what happens if you take a 25-point lead lightly against Toronto. You end up playing way longer and way harder.
You get Memphis at home, and Ja at least right now is sidelined, might not be ready for that game. You got games coming up against New Orleans, against Utah, against an Orlando team that is missing Paolo Banchero. So this is a stretch of games the Lakers need to be winning. And Redick, especially given the result, up and down praise of everybody on the team, especially Russell and Reddish and their impact, but really, was very complimentary of Russell. Russell, when he got up and spoke to the media, made it very clear that he just wants to win. His answer to basically every question was, I just want to win. He said at one point that he left his baggage at the door coming in this season. Didn't
Once
bite.
we changed coaches and a new staff.
But he said, he wasn't, his point being like, I'm not going to care. His point was, because he was asked about, did you learn something from last year to this year or whatever? And I think I took that answer to mean I'm not going to carry frustration that I had from last year into this year.
But the reason I mentioned that, though, is just because he had been asked, like, was there, is there something different about it this year, communication with JJ or whatever? And he mentioned, like, last year we were not winning, whether he meant like we went out early in the first round or I got moved to the bench and we didn't start winning. Like he was, that's part of it is I think he just vibes with JJ much better than he vibed with Darvin. But also just the idea that, if it leads to winning, he said a couple times, like, I want to be a part of winning. I want to be a part of a winning culture. Like there was one point where he just said, like, if you guys are asking me questions about my feelings on this, like, I don't have anything for you. Like I didn't believe him. I mean, he does have feelings. He doesn't like it. Of course. I'm sure he doesn't like it.
And you wouldn't expect him to. But the issue is, if he can go out and do it, and he had easily his most efficient game offensively this year. It's really not close. 7 of 12 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3-point range. It's interesting. The assists go down in part because he's playing with more reserves and stuff like that, but also because he's just actively looking for his own shot. So
he's also playing a lot with LeBron with the new configurations of the rotation. So if LeBron's going to do some of that playmaking as well.
But if it goes from sort of 32 or 33 to 24 or 25 minutes a night for D'Lo, but it's but he's actually bringing 14 to 18 points a night off the bench. It's not a change. I'm not saying Cam Reddish is going to be your starter for the rest of the season. I actually think it's very possible that they sort of try to duplicate the template with Vanderbilt once he's back. But
JJ actually said this is fluid twice.
Yeah, he said it was fluid before the game. He said this is nothing in here is permanent. This is all very fluid. But I think the basic formula of splitting up Reeves and D'Lo and having one of his defensive players in that starting lineup, if they, let's say, win 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, whatever, I think that seems like it could be the strategy going forward. Like, there is always a strong causation correlation question when you have these sorts of moments, and the Lakers did after Darvin Ham early in the season swapped Reeves out of the starting lineup for Reddish. They did have a success. I mean, I think that was when they won like 11 of 12 or something like that, 10 of 11. It was one of their best sustained runs of success. So like we've seen this happen before, and some of the parallels between things Darvin did and things that Redick is doing, at least on the surface appear like parallels. It'd be a fun thing to get into maybe over the course of the next week or so. But like they don't have the luxury of being, if this is something that they feel like they need to do, or we're going to land here eventually, even if they were had a better record than they do now. I agree with you. If you think you're going to get there eventually, just do it now and give everyone a chance to acclimate in the most constructive way possible.
The last thing I wanted to get into, but just before we go, is before the game, Redick was asked about this clip that went quite viral, him getting very animated during the Memphis game, this sequence where D'Lo dribbled roughly 2 billion times before eventually trying to put up a 3 over Jay Huff that got blocked.
But he huffed and puffed and blew that thing back in his face.
Indeed. And Redick was extremely animated afterwards, like almost like jumping. Yes, almost like jumping up and down. And that was right
chair.
about the moment where D'Lo got taken out of the game and didn't re-enter. And he was asked about this, and Redick said, like, look, this was not entirely about D'Lo. There was a lot of like, he didn't deny that he was upset in the moment or like try to pretend otherwise, but he's like, look, there was a lot of stuff that had happened during that game leading up to that point where it eventually just came out. Did not deny that he wasn't upset about D'Lo, but also was like, look, I'm not going to apologize for this either. I'm an emotional guy when it comes to basketball. It's not the first time this has happened, just the first time I've been caught. Not going to be the last time. But he was not aware that it went viral until some of his younger coaches brought it up to him. He said he and D'Lo talked about it. He said twice, me and D'Lo are good. And he's like, it's not an issue. He also talked about how D'Lo, and this may have been before it was even known that D'Lo was going to come off the bench. But he said that like D'Lo has, the way he talked about it, he's a pick and roll guy, and we don't run a lot of pick and roll in this system. And he's like, and D'Lo has been asked to do a lot of stuff. And this gets to something you and I have talked about with D'Lo this year, like a lowered usage rate, and his role still being kind of in flux, exactly what he's supposed to be doing. It was clearly something he was trying to figure out. And he's like, he's been a pro this whole time. Right. And there's that push and pull between just the bad habits that Redick openly referenced that D'Lo had been slipping back into in the Memphis game, which got him pulled, but also the guy is trying to do things that are outside of his wheelhouse because we're asking him to, and I appreciate him doing that.
Yeah, and it's like I mentioned before, earlier, like one of the things that changes doing it this way is that he does get the ball in his hands a little bit more, and he does get to run more screen and roll, and he does get to do things that play to his strengths a little bit better. So lots more of the sort of fallout from this decision. And we'll have another game's worth of it for Monday because the Lakers play Sunday against the Raptors. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll see this lineup again. I can talk more about it headed into the week. So it'll be a very exciting thing to look at. Hopefully the Lakers can find some success with it. We'll see everyone after the game on Sunday, Andy. But first,
going to let people know that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. Those generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. You can get ready, Andy, to tackle the NFL action that happens every week with FanDuel America. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you get that like tickle behind your ear, or your knee starts to hurt, and whatever your signal is, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We will see everyone Monday.